Live from KSAT 12, the 6 o'clock news starts right now.
Yet another report today revealing new information about the response to the shooting at Robb Elementary.
This time, the focus is on the medical care for the victims and how failures affected their treatment. It's detailed in a report published by the Texas Tribune.
A previously unreleased record showing there were communication lapses and medics had trouble getting to the victims that needed them. 3 victims who made it out of the school alive later died. In the case of 2 of those victims, there was a delay in hospital treatment. The Tribune reports that 9-year-old Jackie KSAT likely survived for more than an hour after she had been shot.
That report goes on to say that medical helicopters tried to land at the school, but someone from the fire department told them to land at the airport 3 miles away. And on the ground, ambulances were forced to take longer routes to the school because parked police vehicles were blocking their way. And EMS couldn't find officers to move those units.
And now a San Antonio doctor who has been part of a coordinated response to multiple mass shootings says that something key is missing from that review. Context.
A senior trauma surgeon at University Hospital tells our Lee Waldman he believes the medical teams in Uvalde did the best they could following that tragedy.
From a medical response, there was a challenge from a prolonged time from initial injury to initial treatment.
For over an hour, victims and survivors of the Robb Elementary shooting waited in classrooms 111 and 112 for the shooter to be stopped and life-saving care to be given. According to reporting done by the Texas Tribune, 3 people, Jackie KSAT, Eva Morales, and Xavier Lopez, were pulled from the rooms initially alive but died shortly thereafter.
Knowing that they had a chance to live, possibly, God only knows how many of them. And yet all the resources are outside.
KSAT's uncle, Jesse Rizzo, says today's reporting deepened the anger he feels. Dr. Ronald Stewart, a trauma surgeon, says the blame does not fall on the shoulders of the responding medical teams or Uvalde Memorial Hospital, but rather on the weapon used.
The amount of damage that's done, particularly in vital areas of the body like the head, neck, chest, abdomen, pelvis, it's unlikely to be saved even if you're right outside the operating room.
Dr. Stewart is a chair on STRAC, the South Texas Regional Advisory Council. The council is conducting an after-assessment of the medical response to the Robb tragedy. Though he wasn't on scene, he's confident in the job done by EMS and hospital staff.
I think they performed admirably, honorably, and effectively with skill.
He says based on the patients transferred to their facility, it was clear life-saving measures like stop the bleed and whole blood transfusions done in Uvalde made a difference in saving more lives.
But from an EMS and from a hospital point of view, given the circumstances of that response, I would feel good about my EMS neighbors who responded and my rural hospital.
Lee Waldman, KSAT 12 News.
Now to a milestone that no one wanted to mark. As of today, it has been 1 year since the 3-year-old Lena Kill was disappeared from a playground at her apartment complex near the medical center, the circumstances of which are still very hazy. Garrett Berger live downtown tonight where there's an observance ceremony planned in just a bit. Garrett?
Yeah, that gathering is planned for 7 o'clock tonight outside the old Bexar County Courthouse. That's just a few minutes after the same time last year when San Antonio police say they got a 911 call from Lena's family's apartment complex reporting the young girl from an Afghan family missing. What you're seeing right now is the last known footage of Lena on December 20th last year. San Antonio police included it as part of a pre-produced video marking the anniversary of her disappearance. A video in which they also say they've received hundreds of leads, but none that have led to finding Lena Kiel. Police refused our interview request, but we talked with a retired FBI agent whose nonprofit group has also been looking into the case.
It's a very difficult case, and the more time that passes, the less, I guess, likelihood of finding her becomes a little more remote. Less leads come in.
Crime Stoppers has offered a $50,000 reward for information leading to criminal charges in the case. The Islamic Center of San Antonio had previously offered $200,000 for information leading to Lena's safe return. We're unable to confirm the current amount today. Police believe there is there is a critical witness out there, someone who saw something, noting that Lena did not disappear into thin air. If you have any information, police are asking that you call their missing persons unit or Crime Stoppers. The numbers for both of them on your screen. Live downtown, I'm Garrett Berger, KSAT 12 News.
Hard to believe it's been 1 year. Thank you, Garrett. Tomorrow was supposed to be the end of Title 42, but the U.S. Supreme Court paused that end earlier this week, meaning that it will stay in place for now. Title 42 allows Customs and Border Protection to turn away migrants without letting them ask for asylum. It was put in place during the pandemic. But even as we now wait to see what comes next for that policy, thousands of migrants are at the border right now wanting to cross into the U.S. Jonathan Cotto joins us live from Del Rio this evening. Jonathan, you're there to see what is happening firsthand.
That's right, Tamara, and I can tell you thousands are waiting to cross into the U.S. from the El Paso sector, and thousands more have already crossed. I can tell you that shelters and nonprofit organizations overwhelmed. They are saying they simply do not have the resources in El Paso and here in Del Rio as well. And I can also say that the number of border crossings has increased in the last year. The situation here in Del Rio not as dire as in El Paso, but that is subject to change at any moment. Now, I can say, according to CBP, just in this month alone, there have been more than 100,000 encounters, of which a little more than 79,000 of those have been under Title 42, a figure many say will spike if Title 42 officially comes to an end. Now, we spoke with Congressman Henry Cuellar, who says that Title 42 is not an immigration issue. It was a health order that was used to slow down the number of people crossing into the U.S. during the pandemic. If that law ends, what policy will the federal government set in place that would allow proper path for asylum seekers? Now, Cuellar acknowledges that the Title 42 will eventually go away. This is what he had to say.
But we're trying to look at what really works. So last week, I sat down with Tony and I sat down with the CBP leadership in D.C. to say, hey, look, listen, what can we do to put things in place that can be humane, that can provide the migrants a respect and dignity, but at the same time, we follow the laws that we have in our books. And that's what Tony and I have been doing.
Now, Cuellar says he is hopeful the extension will give the federal government some time to get a policy in place that helps. I can tell you not everyone is as optimistic. We spoke with some local nonprofits who say this has or should have been always a priority. And I have to add, Myra, there's been a lot of question as to the shift in migration and why the El Paso sector is seeing this increase in migrants and other areas like here in Del Rio isn't. And we've been told that that is ultimately up to the criminal organizations on the other side of the border to determine where those migrants go. Of course, this is a story that we're going to continue to follow closely and bring you the latest. We've spoken with those nonprofits who are telling us not only how they plan to deal with a potential increase, but also how they're prepping for a drop in temperatures. We'll have that story tonight on the Night Beat. Live tonight from Del Rio, Jonathan Cotto, KSAT 12 News.
Jonathan, thank you. San Antonio police are searching for a man who allegedly broke into his ex-girlfriend's home, pistol whipped her, and forced her to get money out of an ATM. This all started around 6 this morning at an apartment on Parliament Road. The woman says her ex-boyfriend broke into her home, hit her, then forced her to drive to a nearby 7-Eleven at Blanco and West Avenue to get cash from that ATM. SAPD says that her 2 children were in the van with them when this happened. Officers say the suspect then ran off after getting that money. The woman is okay. Now, officers say they have not found that suspect, but they do know who they're looking for. He's expected to face charges of burglary, aggravated robbery, and assault, as well as kidnapping.
We are now just a few weeks away from the 2023 San Antonio Stock Show and Rodeo, and while the lineup is out, one thing that'll be missing from that annual event this year will be the Cowboy Breakfast. This year, the tradition that feeds thousands of San Antonians right before the rodeo has now been canceled. RJ Marquez spoke with the president of the foundation about this difficult decision and what they expect for 2024.
Brad Dietrich knows what the Cowboy Breakfast means to San Antonio.
Started off
40 years ago or so, helping crack the eggs for the Conservation Society.
As president of the Cowboy Breakfast Foundation, Dietrich and the board made the tough call to cancel the event for 2023.
We got things put together in December. It was too late to try and get all the logistics.
The foundation announced in November it lost its major sponsor and needed more funding for the January breakfast. Despite a financial push and support from the community, they did not meet their deadline.
Serving 25, 30,000 people and putting on a good event for this community meant a lot to the board. Just felt we did not have enough time.
But there is good news on the horizon. The foundation teamed up with the San Antonio-based company WellMed Medical Group to be its presenting sponsor in 2024.
It's an exciting opportunity to bring that joy to people and to kick off the rodeo season. The excitement that comes along with it, the craziness of people standing in line forever.
And while there will be no tacos, biscuits, or coffee served next month, the early morning tradition that's given San Antonians a free bite to eat for 4 decades will continue.
It is heartbreaking that we got to cancel it this year, or for 2023. When time comes around, we hope to see some volunteers as well as the public out at the event for 2024.
And Brad tells us they would like to continue to have the event right here in the parking lot of Cowboys Dance Hall, where they've seen success in the past, and donations from this year will still go to the culinary program at St. Philip's College. RJ Marquez, KSAT 12 News.
Let's take a look at traffic out there right now. We'll take you to I-37 at Cesar Chavez. The southbound lanes, those are the ones coming towards us. They're backing up, as they often do, as people get off of 37 right there by the Alamo Dome, but no big wrecks or accidents to make you aware of. New at 6, we're not the only ones getting ready for the temperatures to drop later on this week. The staff at the San Antonio Zoo is protecting its animals from the cold. And after February 2021, it'll be much different this weekend. But after that event, staffers tell our Erica Hernandez the zoo is more prepared than ever.
The staff at the San Antonio Zoo is making the rounds and taking the necessary steps to protect the animals from freezing temps expected this week.
Everyone will, check all the heaters, check the thermostats, make sure everything is set correctly. We've got plenty of extra heaters that are on standby if needed. There's backup generators set up. So just a matter of going through and making sure everything is good working order.
Rachel Malstaff, the director of mammals, says they are also prepping habitats with climate-controlled areas for animals who need access to the heat.
And the animals will have indoor access to go into the heated areas. We have plenty of bedding to give them. Like the hippo pool behind us, they have a heated pool that stays at a consistent temperature no matter what the outside temperature is.
And despite those colder temps coming in, not all animals actually hate the cold weather.
When we had the snow and the really cold weather a few years back, a lot of the animals were out enjoying the snow, walking in the snow, interacting with the snow. It was an enrichment for them. It's something different that they don't usually see.
At this time, the San Antonio Zoo will also maintain its seasonal operating hours with no plans to close. Erica Hernandez, KSAT 12 News.
All right, let's take a look outside. Right now with live cam, we're all talking about these temperatures. And I don't think we can say this enough. This is not going to be February 2021.
Thank you, Myra. Not even close. And I'm going to give you a comparison coming up in a little bit and talk about how many hours we could actually be below freezing, consecutive hours, that is, with this cold snap. This evening, temperatures falling down through the 40s, fog developing, a north wind at 5 to 10, cool. And tomorrow morning, upper 30s right near 40. In town, about 40 degrees within 410. Foggy morning, some afternoon sun, 56 degrees. More of the same tomorrow. Thursday is when everything starts to change. Cold air arrives by the afternoon. You won't wake up to the change Thursday morning, but you will go to bed to it. No snow. I'm going to say that a bazillion times. No snow, no ice with this. Just some cold, and not like February 2021. The comparison and how it rates for coldest Christmas mornings in a bit.
Welcome back. I'm Stefania Jimenez, and here's what we're working on for you tonight on the Night Beat.
It's not always an emergency, but they do need some type of help. So that's why I would be there.
A new approach to protecting the community's well-being. We're going to discuss the change in tactics at Bernie PD and the lessons learned 1 year into its mental health program. Plus, thousands of migrants now headed for the U.S.-Mexico border just as Texas prepares for an Arctic blast. what several groups are doing now to help those with nowhere to go. We'll see you for these stories and a lot more tonight on The Night Beat.
All right, thanks, Stephanie. Okay, let's take a look right now at the Alamo Quarry. For a brief moment, we wanted to freeze things just as they are right now to match the weather later on this week.
A good word.
We got some temperatures that we really need to talk about and the timing of all of this, Adam.
Yeah, you're not going to feel any changes tomorrow. It's going to be coming Thursday afternoon. And I want to stress afternoon because actually it's going to be kind of warm Thursday around the noon hour, but thereafter things start to change a lot. Let's talk about the potential consecutive hours below freezing. Take a look at this map. Up in the hill country, there's the potential we could see some spots at or below freezing for about 43 hours, up to 43 hours. That's kind of worst case scenario. Locally and along Highway 90 there, San Antonio, most surrounding communities, maybe up to 24 hours. Again, that would be the worst case scenario around here in terms of at most how long we could be below freezing. That's nothing compared to February 2021 when we had 107 hours straight of freezing temperatures. This is a fraction of that. And back in February 2021, we had the ice and snow, which added to the difficulties and the severity of the situation. No precipitation with this cold outbreak. No snow, no ice, none of that. Travel will actually be great around Texas. It's just going to be cold out there. Back in February 2021, the coldest we got was 9 degrees. This time the coldest will be 18, and that's going to be coming Friday morning. So let's talk temperatures. Texas, some 30s up into the hill country, 50s locally, lower 50s that is around here. Oh, look at these numbers though up in Canada. Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, my favorite. Just rolls off the tongue. 26 below. You get up to Fort Nelson, 40 below, 51 below. Dawson Airport, that's not far from Alaska. Fairbanks, 35 below. So even our friends up in Alaska are more than 30 degrees below zero right now. They're feeling the chill. The core of the Arctic air is dropping southward, and that cold front hits us probably about 1-2 p.m. on Thursday, and that's when the changes will start happening. So let's start with Thursday, 7 a.m. Not bad around here. We're at 44 degrees, but look at the panhandle. Could be in the single digits at that point. Even by the noon hour, mild, 61. Lower 60s around San Antonio and some surrounding areas, but then the colder air makes it here, and I'm expecting about a 30-degree temperature drop between about 1 p.m. and 6 p.m. on Thursday. So a pretty stout and sharp temperature drop that we will notice, and the wind will pick up. If you have the inflatables, deflate them for Thursday evening and Thursday night, even Friday morning. Gusts probably up to 40 miles per hour. Actual air temperatures Friday morning, likely down into the upper teens. I mean, we're talking 18 around San Antonio, Canyon Lake 15, Kerrville, Fredericksburg about 12, Bernie 14 along with Bulverde. So we're going to feel that chill, especially Friday morning, and that's going to be our low point. Notice 18 Friday, Saturday to 20, Sunday, Christmas Day, we're at 24. Good thing is, the afternoons will be above freezing. Now, to put in perspective in terms of the coldest Christmas mornings on record, 1911, we were down to 11 degrees. This year, 2022, probably second place. Our forecast in the low to mid 20s, second, at least in the top 5. We'll probably be in the top 5 for coldest Christmas mornings. But again, the afternoons above freezing. Friday, mid-30s, Saturday, we're up to 42, and Sunday, 51 degrees by the afternoon. And that's with a lot of sunshine. So roadways, A-OK, no precipitation, no ice, just the cold to prepare for.
Just very, 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 very cold. Thanks, Adam.
All right, Greg, we learned the reason behind a UTSA Roadrunners' absence from their recent bowl game.
Yeah, this is one of their star wide receivers, and I have to emphasize right now, no charges and no arrests have been made in this incident. When we come back, we're talking about Joshua Cephas and why he did not play in the Cure Bowl for the UTSA Roadrunners. And don't count Jalen Hurts out just yet. Coming up. We are now learning the reason why UTSA star wide receiver Joshua Cephas did not play in the Duluth Trading Cure Bowl in Orlando last week. It turns out he'd been suspended from all team activities following a car accident earlier on the morning, December the 9th, the same day the Roadrunners celebrated their back-to-back Conference USA championships with a river parade. According to a police report obtained by KSAT 12, Cephas was driving a silver Nissan when he lost control of his car, rolled it over at Babcock Road and UTSA Boulevard near the main campus at 3:25 in the morning. He did have a passenger in the car, fellow UTSA football player Emmanuel Odetola. Cephas was taken to the magistrate's office to provide a blood sample, the results of which are still pending, and later he was taken to the hospital for treatment of injuries. At the time, there were no official reason why Cephas did not play in the Roadrunners' 18-12 loss to the Troy Trojans, but when contacted today, here's a statement released by the university regarding Cephas' status, and it said, in total, we are aware of the incident involving Joshua Cephas. We continue to gather more information. In the meantime, per our department policy, he has been suspended from all team activities. Following the University of the Incarnate Word Cardinals' record-setting football season, 5 members of the team have earned Stats Perform FCS All-America honors. One on the first team, 2 on the second team, 1 on the third team, and 1 freshman honors. Starting quarterback Lindsey Scott Jr. was named first-team All-America after throwing for 60 touchdowns and scoring another 11 on the ground, helping lead the Cardinals to their first ever FCS National Semifinals game, where they lost to defending champion North Dakota State 35-32. Wide receiver Taylor Grimes and linebacker Kalechi Analabechi were selected to the second team after Grimes scored 15 touchdowns this season, and Analabechi led the Cardinals with a total of 114 tackles and 65 solo. Receiver Darian Chafin secured a spot on the third team after leading the team with 18 touchdown receptions, and Cole Wilson was named to the freshman All-America team after turning 2 punts for touchdowns. There are now reports the University of Texas and Oklahoma could join the SEC as early as 2024, meaning this coming season could be their last in the Big 12. Speculation the Longhorns and Sooners could bowl for the Big 12 before 2025 season has begun to grow over the last few days, but according to reports, it all hinges on whether or not they can get clearance to do so from both Fox and ESPN networks that hold the rights to broadcast Big 12 games through 2025, because their departure would mean less viewership and therefore less value. It would also have to do with any penalties the 2 schools would have to pay in order to leave 1 year early, estimated to be around $80 million.
Pro football coverage, powered by Davis Law Firm.
On Monday, we told you the possibility of the Eagles being without their star quarterback Jalen Hurts when Philadelphia meets the Dallas Cowboys on Christmas Eve afternoon in a key NFC East showdowns. Hurts suffered a sprain to his throwing shoulder when he was driven into the ground by Travis Gibson in the third quarter. The Eagles' 25-20 win over the Bears to push Philly to a 13-1 record, while the Cowboys are 10-4, coming off their unexpected 30-24 overtime loss to the Jaguars in Jacksonville. But the Eagles head coach says don't count Hurts out just yet.
I do not put it past Jalen Hurts. I don't put anything past Jalen Hurts as far as his mental and physical toughness. So there's a chance he could play this week. And so he is one of the toughest guys I know. And he heals fast. He's a freak.
In fact, he actually said his body, meaning Jalen Hurts' body, is not like yours and mine. And he included himself in this, how would you call it, assessment of how not in shape we are? Right. So apparently he's in such good shape, he could play this week, but there's a lot of speculation saying he may miss actually the next 2 games with this injury just to protect that arm.
We shall see.
But we're not in his shape,
Yeah,
just to be clear.
Athletes here.
Thanks.
Not at all. Our KSAT Q&A with Mayor Ron Nierenberg is next.